Hey, I'm Amanda, wife, mother, and follower of Christ, and welcome to the Ducks in a Row podcast. I'm a homeschool mama and entrepreneur, and I have a master's degree in social work with a passion for helping others organize their life. Buckle up for a ride into sharing all I know about time management, productivity, crushing goals, wellness, organizing, and faith. I am so glad you're here, and I hope I can help you get your ducks in a row. Course I have available right now. And as a matter of fact, it is discounted 15% off with code 2023 through the end of January. This is to get you kickstarted into the new year if your goals pertain to productivity and time management. So this course is for just that, productivity and time management. And I hope that you will check it out. It is linked below. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Ducks in a Row podcast. I am so excited once again today to be dropping an episode with a guest. I have been loving interviewing my guests. I can't even tell you. I just have the hugest smile on my face right now because I love interviewing people. So the friend I have on today, we've never actually met in person, but we have grown close just kind of through Instagram, to be honest, and through a mutual friend. And I am so excited to interview her. She is into fitness and nutrition, and I'm not going to give too much away ahead of time so she can tell you what she's into and what exactly it is she does. But I have a heart and a passion for fitness and nutrition that I don't share enough on this show. I have in previous seasons, I've shared a lot about it. But, I do a lot more kind of organizing stuff and schedule type stuff nowadays. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, the way we can really be successful with exercise and nutrition is to learn how to be organized with it and learn how to organize our schedules so that we can fit it in because it's important, right? So with that said, I am so excited to have Avery on the show today so that we can talk a little bit about that as it pertains to being organized and having a schedule and just being healthy as part of that schedule. So without further ado, here's my friend Avery. Hello, Avery. I am so excited to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me here. I cannot wait to chat.
I know, me too. And I was thinking about this earlier. I was like, what's funny? We've chatted back and forth. We've emailed. We've talked in Instagram DMs for several months now, but we never actually talked on the phone or anything. So this is our first telephone conversation, but I love following Avery on Instagram, and I love just the relationship that we have formed, although new, has been so interesting. And so that prompted me to really want to have you on the show. And especially, like I said in my introduction, I love health and fitness. And it's been a passion of mine, seriously, probably since high school when I played field hockey. So it's just, and I was the weird girl who liked to run. I liked to condition for my sports, which wasn't really that normal in high school, but I've always really enjoyed it. Right? And I've always enjoyed health as well. And as far as nutrition is concerned, and I like to eat clean and I really focus on protein. So I know you and I have a lot in common when it comes to that. And this podcast has been, this is my third season, so I've been going a while, and I have done episodes on this subject, just never had a guest about it. So that's what makes me extra excited because I can't wait to hear your insights for my own ears, but for my audience too. So that is awesome. And let's just jump right in. Okay. So tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, first of all, like I said earlier, I'm very excited to be here and, like you said, chat for kind of the first time on the phone. It's awesome.
Right.
It's just so cool what technology and social media can do to connect you to so many people. That's a sidebar. Mm-hmm. I am a women's health and wellness coach, and I help women optimize their hormones. We help eliminate bloating, shed fat, using my balanced body blueprint. Maybe we can talk about that later.
Yes.
But in the past year and a half, I have successfully coached over 50 women, which has allowed me to gain even more experience to unique circumstances and ensure that we have the right strategies in place to give women the help that they and support that they deserve.
I love that. Wow, 50 women. That's a lot. That is so awesome. So I don't think I actually formally had this question for you, but now I'm curious, how long have you been, has it just been this past year since you started, or has it been longer than that?
Yeah, so I actually have been coaching one-on-one for a year and a half now. Yeah.
Okay.
Really great. And before that, I did a little bit of group coaching, and we're going to talk about this later, but a couple meal plans and things like that for about, I would say like 8 to 9 months before that. So I've definitely been in the industry for a little over 2 years, but as far as one-on-one clients, been doing that for about a year and a half.
Awesome. I love it. Okay. So how did you get into that? Into like fitness, nutrition, even just the coaching aspect? What kind of like prompted you to get into that field?
Yeah. So like you said earlier, like fitness for me too has always been a part of my life. I did competitive cheerleading for 7 years, and
Wow.
I know cheer is such an underrated sport. For those of you that aren't familiar, it's a tough sport.
Oh, yeah.
And very, very active. And so we had summer weights, and we had our high school provided like a weights class and stuff like that. So I was always very familiar with those kinds of activities and exercise, and they had been a part of my life for a while. Once I actually graduated high school, I went to Xavier University in Cincinnati, and they don't have a competitive cheer team, and aren't as fun, but it was great. I had a great time, but they just didn't take it as seriously as I was used to in the past, right? We were there to cheer for the basketball team, which is great. We had a great time, but it wasn't as like hardcore as what I was used to. So I kind of fell out of routine. I think like as a freshman in college, your whole life changes, right? So many priorities shift. Yeah, it's like a huge change in your life. And I've also talked to many women about this in their past who used to be in sports, and like once you're out of organized sports, you have no idea what to do because nobody's telling you what to do anymore, right? So you're left to kind of like figure it out on your own.
Yes.
So here I was, not really as active as I used to be, and of course I was still like cheering, but it wasn't anything like I was used to. I didn't really go to the gym much, maybe like once every month, just trying to do something. So I had lost a lot of muscle, and I was really starting to thin out, and I lost a lot of weight because I was not taking care of myself. I was eating like crap. It was pretty awful, the food court food. Not good. And I think, too, just, like, going under a lot of stress. So I just wasn't in a good place, to be honest, like, mentally, physically. And this had gone on for a couple years. I transferred to a school a bit closer to home, and thank goodness I did, because the lovely virus, that shall not be named, hit that same year, so I was very happy to be home.
That's good.
And I think, yes. And I think at that point, when everything was shut down, we were all really forced to look within ourselves because we had no other choice.
Yes.
And so at that point in time, I just kind of realized, man, like, I don't like the life I'm living. I felt gross in my body. I wouldn't even look in mirrors. I avoided mirrors because I was ashamed of myself. I didn't like the choices I was making. I was super insecure, and I honestly felt very lonely during this time, which I think a lot of us did, just literally being forced to be alone, right? All the thoughts that are going through my head at this point in time were just not uplifting, positive thoughts at all. And so I was like, wow, this is not who I want to be. I can't really tell you exactly what flipped because I don't think it was an instance. I think it was just like an overtime thing, but I knew I didn't want to live that way anymore. And so a friend and I were talking, and we really wanted to get more in shape, and so we bought some fitness influencers meal plan and workout plan. And I know that sounds so silly, but that one step truly did change my life. And as much as I don't love meal plans because they don't provide all the support that you need, it was a great place for me to start, honestly. Like, I truly would not be where I am today if my friend and I did not make that one purchase. So I'll spare kind of all the rest of the details. But after I had seen significant changes through that method, and I basically proved to myself I could do hard things, I learned even more about myself, about nutrition, about fitness, became really passionate about it. And I was also really working on my mindset here at the time, learning to love myself again and all those things. And I was just feeling really happy for the first time in a long time. I was feeling really confident in myself inside and out. And so at this point, since I had made that significant change, I felt so good. But I also knew how terrible I felt, just a year prior. So I began posting on social media to share my story with other people, hoping to impact other women, because I know as a woman the things that we struggle with mentally and the social pressures and all the things that go on in our heads. So I just really wanted to, again, make that impact and hopefully reach out and help other women. So that's kind of how I started posting and got into that field of things.
That is amazing. I love that story. And because it is such a pull yourself out of the pit type situation, and so that's so inspiring. But I'll also just note, and I'm sure you can second this, just the endorphins themselves of starting to move your body can just change your mindset so much. And I just heard you saying you just
100%.
felt so much, you just felt so much better mentally, not only physically, but mentally. And boy, is that ever true. And I think that's, for me, one of the reasons why I work out 5 days a week, and I have for as long as I can remember. It is a mental health outlet for me
100%.
so much. And I think that people talk about that, but I don't feel like it's talked about enough. And so I love that kind of with the way with my platform here in my podcast, I talk a lot about mental health in that way. And so that's one of the reasons why I definitely encourage people to get into some kind of workout routine. It's just so good. It's so good for so many reasons. The next question kind of bounces off that last one, which was so detailed and wonderful. But it kind of just when it comes to the entrepreneurship, I'm sure that there were probably options for you to go work at a gym or, go work for somebody. But you really, it seems like you've kind of, done more of a business ownership style in this. And what kind of drove you, because that's another thing we talk a lot about on this show, is just entrepreneurship and being a business owner and how to organize our lives around that. But what made you kind of head in that direction?
Yeah, that's a great question. So at this point, like I said, in college, going through these transformations and trying to figure out who I am, right? I was pursuing a degree in psychology. And so my entire life, from the moment I can remember, probably since the sophomore in high school, really, I had always envisioned providing therapy. I really wanted to become a therapist because I just love helping and supporting other people. That's amazing. Oh my gosh, we do a lot of content.
Yeah.
So that, I felt was my calling. Man, I really wanted to do that. And so, like I said, I was going to school for psychology, but I had this amazing transformation through health and fitness and all that I had learned through that. And so I had graduated, and I was like, man, I was really at that crossroads, like you said, trying to figure out where to go. I wanted to, A, go to grad school, or B, start my own business. And I was like, wow, I don't know what to do at this point. What am I being called to do? Yeah. Obviously, it's very stressful, and starting your own business, as much as it's becoming popular now, which is amazing, it's not always I guess it's more the risky route, right?
Right.
And so I decided to take that path. I decided to take the most risky path, and to be honest with you, it was a little scary, but deep down, I didn't really have any doubts because I had, one, already come so far and proved I could do hard things to myself, right, for myself. And at this time, it felt like my calling. It was almost like a no-brainer. Man, this happened to you for a reason. You're at this crossroads for a reason, and you need to take this path. It felt like that's what I was meant to do, as cliche as that sounds.
Yeah.
So, yes. I really, at this point, I just have always had the passion for serving others, and I truly believe that I was brought to this path to help other women. And then from there, I did all the basics, get the certifications and the LLC and the taxes and all that boring stuff. Right. And yes, I actually, like I said earlier, started off selling customized meal plans because that's how I started my own journey, right? But then I realized that real impact is that one-on-one, the relationship building, diving even deeper, because we all know a meal plan isn't going to fix all of our issues as much as we wish it would.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how I got to that point and starting off my business, was really just being at that crossroads and making that decision, and then doing all the little things that you have to do on the business legal side of stuff that no one
right. I know. I'm reminiscing in my own mind about that, and it is so funny because our stories are so similar in that way. So I do have a graduate degree in social work. I did end up going into grad school, but I might not have needed to. I don't know. But both my graduate and undergraduate are in social work. So it's the same, kind of, mental health field. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do with this? And so it's very similar. And I did work for the man, so to speak, in the beginning of my career. But then after having children is when I branched off and kind of started the entrepreneurial journey. So I love that. And I'm sure you can agree, I just love women in business as well. I'm always like looking to support, women doing that. And I know you're young, but oftentimes it is women who are married and have kids. And so it's nice to and support, of course, support all women, but it is just nice to see, I don't know, like girl power. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I just love it.
And the same way.
Yes, and I love the your whole idea of the one-on-one, because I was the same way. So with my professional organizing business, it was a one-on-one relationship. And I always say this to people, I can give you all the organizing and time management tips all day long that you want, but until you have that one-on-one relationship, like that's when you're really going to see the change. And it's not that every single person needs that, right? Obviously. But so many different people and so many different walks of life do need that in whatever it is they're pursuing. Right. So in your case, they're pursuing health, wellness, fitness, in general. And like that one-on-one is so important for so many people. So I love that you provide that. That's awesome.
Okay. Absolutely. And that's where, you really get the reward and you reach the reward. And like you said, not everybody needs it, but I truly do believe that you'll get to your destination a lot faster if you, and aren't afraid to seek help. Like that's a huge and powerful thing. Right. And not to be afraid to reach out, because I reached out, I needed help, and I am also a coach right now, and I have my own coach, because we all need structure and support. So I truly believe one-on-one coaching is so powerful regardless of where you are in your life and like what you're wanting to work on in that moment. Yes,
absolutely. And like you're saying, reaching out is oftentimes the hardest part. I just told somebody this the other day, when people call me and actually want one-on-one, whether it's coaching or me coming into their home to organize, if they are reaching out and expressing that, I almost guarantee that I'm going to be helping them, because the hardest part isn't like searching around finding who's going to help. The hardest part is making the phone call. If they made the phone call, they're already invested. And it's such a cool thing to think about. But like at the same time, like empowering people to make that call is where it's like, oh, you just wish you could like give them all the empowerment. But it's hard. It is really the hardest part is just stepping out of your comfort zone in that way. But anyway, so I would like to kind of move to like workouts a little bit, because I love to work out. Again, I'm like, I want to say I'm weird, but I know you love to work out too. So I guess we're both weird in that way. So tell me like what your favorite like style or way of working out, like HIIT, lifting weights, like all of the above, cardio, like what's your jam? What do you recommend the most?
Yeah. For me personally, I love weight training. For anybody else, I would recommend doing the workout that you're going to stick to and that you enjoy the most. But for most everyone, specifically my clients that I work with, we always focus on weight training. It's just so important. It helps you optimize your hormones, helps you shed fat, it helps you get the lean and toned look that you're striving for, gives you healthy muscles, healthy tissues, healthy bones, healthy heart. Like it's so beneficial in so many ways. And like you said earlier, on the mental aspect as well, increasing those endorphins, making you feel good, boosting your mood. So that's usually where we start, and that should honestly, in my personal opinion, be the focus of a training program, whereas I know so many women go straight to cardio, right? Straight to cycling, straight to running, and all these things, which is great, and cardio definitely has its time and place, but that's when we see some people really stressing their bodies out if they're doing it excessively and then not getting the results they desire, because weight training is really key, like I said, to getting like that lean look. Women say they want to be toned all the time. That is weight. That is not cardio. I can promise you that.
Yes. But I didn't know that for the longest time. I did not know that. And I love hearing that now, because it was a total mind shift for me. Like I said, I loved running. I still do. But like I never even lifted my like lower half of my body. I would lift some when I was into cardio, but only like the upper body. I'm like, well, I run all the time. Why do I need to lift legs? Oh my gosh, you need to lift legs. It's life-changing.
It is life-changing. Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing that because it is so true. And, like, I kind of used to have that same belief. I would go on a run, like I said, in college. I didn't really work out much, but I was like, oh, maybe I should go for a run today, like once every month or something
Right.
like that. And you just, obviously, again, cardio has its time and place. It's also very beneficial. But main focus I typically recommend is weight training. And then on top of that, if you just are just starting, at least walking, implementing some sort of walking every day is so incredibly important for your health, for your mental health, for your physical health. Just making that a priority regardless of where you're at in your health and fitness journey. Walking is amazing.
Yes. And I love walking too. I guess I just love the like wind in my hair. I don't have to run. Just being out there, just walking or running in general is so good. But yes, weight training is so great.
Yeah.
Yes. And I've never really, that's the other thing. And hopefully this is some encouragement for any of you who are like, weight training? Really? Like, listen, let me just put a personal plug in. I felt the same way. I was like, wait, and I've been weight training for almost 2 years now, like focusing more on that than cardio. And I at first was like, but I don't want to get bulky, or how does this work? Or like, I don't know. It just seems so foreign, especially for women. And I don't know why, but the transformation it makes is just so incredible and just overall, and you are going to end up loving it. Cause now I'm at the point where it's like, that's all I want to do. And I'm like, okay, can I lift heavier? Can I do one more rep? It's like oh, it's just so great. I love it so much. Okay.
And you're able to really challenge yourself and push yourself and strive for new things. It's just amazing. And like you said, that comment of like being afraid to get bulky is such a real fear, and definitely makes sense. But I think a lot of women especially don't understand how hard that is. It's actually really hard to like pack on muscle like that. It's really hard to get bulky, especially if it's not in your genetics. So that is something I really recommend. If that is a fear of yours, that is very unlikely that is going to happen unless you are actively striving for it, because it is difficult.
Yeah, and let me just say, okay, for a moment, if you guys do not follow Avery on Instagram, you better go do it. And girlfriend is ripped. I mean, I just can't even. But in the same respect, I say that, but like, if you're standing there in clothes, or like if you have clothes, well, I'm not saying you don't have clothes. You know what I mean? If you're standing there in a regular outfit and you're not in your gym clothes, you don't look bulky, but when you are in your gym outfit and you can see all of the muscles and everything, like, but that's not bulk, that's tone, that's, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and
that's lighting,
it's different.
and posing and all those things too.
That's true.
Around flexing all my muscles, right? Like,
that's true.
Like you said, in regular clothes, a cute outfit, I definitely am not looking like a crazy muscle monster.
Not at all. And that's incredible, because this is your career. Like, this is what you do. So if any woman is going to really look bulky, it would be you, and you don't. So it definitely is not something to be afraid of. But being toned, I mean, that's where I think everybody can admit that that's kind of what they want, right? Like, nowadays that stick thin, like super skinny look isn't as in as like having some muscle definition and really looking, healthy in that way. So, okay, let's go to the next question, which is talking about goal setting. And I just wanted to bring this up. We could probably talk for like another hour on this. But when it comes to goal setting, I know here we are, when this episode airs, actually, it'll be like mid-February, and most people have like fallen off, right? It's like, we're starting our new year. And I strategically asked Avery to be on the episode on the podcast in February for that reason, because it is statistically by February, people have fallen away. And I want to give my listeners some encouragement in the way of that, of like, what can we do, to keep that routine. I mean, and for me, it's hard because I am such a routine person, right? And so I can do that. And I don't necessarily struggle with that, but I know so many people, especially my listeners, they do struggle with that. So for those who are looking for like how to stick with it, what is your advice?
Yeah, that's a great question. If I can be honest with you, there are so many ways we could come at this, right? Goal setting and getting into your routine. There are so many routes you can take to get there. But the first thing I recommend for everyone, especially as women, is stopping that all or nothing mentality. This does not serve you, and I think so many women adopt this mentality, and it's hard not to when we see so many other people in a position that we want to be in, right? So we compare our day two to somebody's year two.
Right.
So that doesn't help. And then also all of the fad diets that are around. Like, again, I know this has helped many people, so I'm just kind of speaking generically, but I know diets like keto, Weight Watchers, you know, Whole30, those kinds of things where they're kind of extreme and like you're going all in, have conditioned us to have that all or nothing mentality, right?
Right.
Taking keto, for example, it's like, okay, I'm cutting out all sugar, all carbs, can't have this, boom, I'm all in. And then they do really good for like a week, 2 weeks, maybe even 2 months, and then it's like, okay, where do I go from here? I'm stuck, and then they find themselves back to where they started, right? And then they feel frustrated. So, again, I see this a lot with so many women, especially coming into a program where we really have to work on this mindset. If we have this mindset, it's going to be hard for you to get far and see success. So rather than thinking like, okay, you know, I'm starting this new program, I've got to be perfect, I got to be on it. If I have a cookie, I'm going to fall off, I'm going to die. Like, these are like real thoughts that we have, right?
Right.
And so trying to look at this as a lifestyle change. This should not be a fad diet anymore. This should not be a goal to do good for 8 weeks until your vacation and it's back to normal life, because that doesn't serve you. You find yourself there every single year, every 6 months, or whatever it is, you're in this rotation. We've got to break that cycle. And so that starts with shifting your mindset, not looking at it from that perspective anymore, and just thinking of this as a journey. Okay, from here on out, I'm committing to myself. I'm taking day one I'm taking day one on my forever journey, right? And so here it starts, and then the next day you do your best, and then the next day you do your best. If you mess up, there's no starting over anymore, because you've already started day one. That was a week ago. You're on your second week now at this point. So how are you going to do to get better? And so, like, it's just really dropping that mentality too, and then really the second thing that I recommend is just focusing on getting 1% better each day. So this kind of goes hand in hand with that all or nothing mentality. Now, I'm definitely a person where discipline is important to me. I strive to be great at things. I strive to be successful. Like, that's just in my nature. So for me, sometimes I can be hard on myself. But I do recommend just trying to focus on getting 1% better each day. That is it. Drop that pressure from yourself. Create sustainable goals. For example, you know, if your goal is to drink more water, don't go from drinking 1 glass to 8 glasses. That's not going to happen. How can you get 1% better? Tomorrow, I'll drink a glass and a sip. I mean, that's a win. You know what I mean? So just really focusing on slow, attainable goals and kind of dropping and releasing that pressure on yourself a little bit.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think that was probably like the best answer I've ever heard for fitness and nutrition goals, because that is so true. I feel like all of these fad diets that people get into are like, it's so all or nothing. And I actually just did a podcast episode on all or nothing a couple of weeks ago, because, and I think you would relate with me from what I'm hearing, is you and I probably kind of have that like all or nothing mentality. And so many people do. But even for me, I've got to stop that sometimes, because it depends on what it is. Maybe something I'm going after, I could go all in. But for people who it's a complete 180 shift, if you are like on your couch and never ever working out or eating right, for you to like go keto, for example, like you're saying, would be such a drastic shift that you're just going to end up failing, because my gosh, like, that would be such a big change. Now, for someone like me who, I've always worked out, but maybe I want to try something different, right? Like I could maybe do that, right? I could maybe do keto or something, but it just kind of depends on like where you're at in your journey. And I do think that you're right. That's probably what it is. People just try so hard to like be perfect at whatever it is, and then they fail, and then they just give up. And it is like that in so many things. And I talk about that a lot, just with what I do with organizing and with time management, productivity. It's like, oh, I didn't have a perfect day. Oh, I didn't cross everything off my to-do list today, so forget it. There go all my goals. I'm not even trying. And that's just so not the case. And I especially loved how you said, oh, I messed up, I have to start over. No, there's no starting over. You just pick up the next day and do your best and do that 1%. That was gold.
Exactly.
Gold. I love it.
So many people to focus on what they didn't do, right? So like you said, for example, on the to-do list, let's say you got 5 things on your to-do list and you miss one. You're going to negate the other 4 that you accomplished and did successfully.
Exactly.
I mean, we are so quick to focus on the negative and the things that we didn't do. And if that is your focus all of the time, I hate to break it to you and be so harsh, but you're not going to be successful because you're so caught up in what went wrong.
Yeah.
We are people. We are imperfect. We are not going to be perfect every single day. And so the quicker we can drop that mentality and focus on the good things and what we did do, then we're going to get a lot farther. And this is not to say like, oh, you know, sweep things under the rug and you messed up one day, just keep moving forward. I truly believe in holding yourself accountable. Of course, maybe you assess like, hey, did I really need to miss that today? Probably not. So let's make sure that gets done first thing tomorrow. You know, like have that conversation with yourself, but don't dwell on it and beat yourself up because you're just going to be stuck in that cycle if you do.
Absolutely. And this is what I tell people when it comes to their to-do list. If they got 1 or 2 things they did not cross off, right? All you got to do is add that to tomorrow's to-do list. And I feel like it's funny when I say that to people, they're like, really, that's it? And it's like, no, exactly. You're not beating yourself up. Like, don't beat yourself up about it, but you do realize you need to get that done tomorrow, you know, because it was on your to-do list for a reason. Now, sometimes you might have to erase it and put it on the next day too. But if you're diligent about that, you will eventually do it. It will get done, right? And I think that's part of the like step by step and not such a all or nothing mentality is you will take the steps to get there. And I think the same will go with what you're saying, you know, with drinking enough water or eating clean. Well, it's like, okay, I went from eating fast food, you know, every day to, okay, I'm going to just eat fast food 5 days a week instead of 7, you know, but eventually you'll get there. Like you are going to change that habit and change that routine, you know, someday it'll happen. It just depends on how long.
And sometimes too, I think like you go in having an expectation of where you want to be and the goals you want to have for yourself. And sometimes we can be unrealistic and we don't even acknowledge it. So that's when it's really important, especially to have someone to help you like show like, okay, this is what I do for my clients, right? Like, I'm like, okay, this goal, love that that's your goal. We will get you there one day, but right now let's focus on X, Y, and Z until we can work on that goal because we need this area focused. And then for you, like, I know you help so many women with organizing their time and planning things out, which I love your planner and course, by the way. It's so helpful.
Thank you.
And so I think that's another great way just to work towards goals is having that structure, having that time, having a plan, because without a plan, it's going to be so hard to get where you want to be as well.
Exactly. And like, so for example, and what I was just saying, if on your to-do list, working out was on there or eating, let's say, you know, 120 grams of protein. Okay. Let's say those 2 things were on there. Neither one of them got done that day, right? So you weren't able to cross that off. But if you're writing that on the next day, like you're so much more likely to do it because it's staring you in the face again. So instead of being like, oh, I didn't do it, forget it. Nope, you just put it on the next day. You just start again. So anybody there, or not start again as far as starting over, but it's a new day. So start the new day, you know? And anybody that's here in mid-February and they've fallen off, say you went to the gym and you started out good for the first couple weeks of January and you've fallen away, you haven't been back since. That doesn't mean that you can't pick up your sneakers and get in the car and get to the gym today. Like it can still happen. Right. I love it. Okay, so last question is just how do you see yourself serving your audience, you know, moving forward? What time or what type of things are like in the works? Are you just going to kind of continue with what you're doing? If you have anything new coming down the pipeline or what?
Yeah, so many things. Well, definitely working on leveling up more content just to provide more education. That's very important to me. I teach my clients to become empowered through education and action. Those things are all important to make change. And so always making sure that I'm delivering enough content and education through the platforms that we have for free, which is just amazing that we get to share all this free information and help and impact people that way. And always building out new free resources as well, because I understand that not all women are in a position to invest in themselves and invest not one-on-one. So I do have a lot of free resources that I'm totally willing to share with a lot of women because it's just, like I said, I just love helping people and want to be able to provide that. And then as you, I do have a podcast where I upload short episodes every Monday. Just to talk about different aspects of education, you know, mindset, nutrition, fitness. Nice. I just had one uploaded this morning about the 4 phases of our cycle. That was a fun one to record.
Yes.
But yeah, I think moving forward, just always evolving our program, constantly taking client feedback, adapting to what's needed, just to make sure each woman is getting the best out of this program. And then as far as things in the works, I am working on a very affordable way to get a taste of coaching and accountability without the huge investment. More details to come on that in the spring. We still got, like you said, a lot in the works. So, but yeah, just a little teaser. I'm excited about it.
Ooh, that is exciting. I will have to look into that for sure. All right. I love it. I love everything we talked about. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for coming on. Because I just, like I said, I love talking this stuff. So I am probably going to have you on again sometime, because I have a feeling that there's probably going to be lots of people who are going to enjoy this episode and this subject. So hopefully we can do that. But once again, I just thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me, Amanda. I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks. All right. So some of you may or may not know, I am a professional organizer, and I also do virtual organizing, which is something I've done for a while, but haven't really promoted a whole lot. And I'm just starting to really get into it here in the new year. So I just wanted to give a short little ad about my virtual organizing. So what it kind of looks like is we have a phone call, we lay things out, you send me some images of the areas that you need to tackle, and then I send you a very detailed step-by-step outline, as well as some before and after vision boards where we can sort of get your place organized without me actually being there in person with you. But I give you all the tools you need, all the accountability, everything that you need to tackle it on your own. And boy, does it ever feel empowering once that is done. So if that is something you are interested in, make sure you head to my website where I have more information on that, and send me a message there, and we will get you set up for a virtual organizing consultation. Okay, back to the show. Oh my gosh, that was so fun. I loved talking to Avery, and I hope you guys enjoyed that episode as much as I did. And I just wanted to say thank you once again, you guys, for coming and for listening and for being a part of this podcast. And as always, I love it when you share, tell others, tell everybody, and don't forget to live your life with passionate gratitude. I will see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I really hope you subscribe and share with your friends. And don't forget to tag me on social media when you do. Always remember, lead your life with passionate gratitude. God bless. Until next time.